Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the moderator of our next panel this evening, Sage Steele, former ESPN broadcaster and host of The Sage Steele Show.
Hello. Hi. Hi. Hello, hello. Yes? Am I the first one on the first try? It's working? Thank you. I win the night. Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. From those of us in the back, I want to start with first a couple of takeaways from today and then get quickly to this panel because they are phenomenal women. How about that ad, though? And Jennifer Say, did she already head to the back? I've gotten to know Jennifer over the last couple of years, and those XXXY ads are absolutely incredible. And what Jennifer has done single-handedly, it's been phenomenal. Her story as a Levi's executive and the story from there is absolutely incredible. I'm glad you get to hear from her in a second. But that ad, unfortunately, tells a great story, right? Just the visual of girls running, walking backwards. I believe that is changing as of today. But thank you to Jennifer Say for all that she has done. You see, this is when we age ourselves. It is what it is, right? ADF. I thought I knew and comprehended what this organization was about, and I had no idea until I got here. Kristen Wagner is brilliant. Thank you. What she has done, her leadership, every single person on her team, the attorneys, everybody, chose to be part of this. Left jobs that probably paid them a little bit more, and they have made choices to do this because of what it means to them in their hearts and their souls, and certainly for everybody else, some young women that they will never even meet. So ADF, thank you. What a job they did today at the rally to make sure so many diverse voices were heard. And I've never felt more safe in my life. Did everybody see the snipers on the rooftops? That's when you know you've made it, when you have snipers. I thought they were just for me personally, but probably not. But again, Kristen Wagner, 13 years supporting athletes and beyond. I also want to point this out, and of course with Tish here singing incredibly as she always does tonight, I've heard God a lot over the last 48 hours. What a concept. We're allowed to say that, aren't we? There's so much faith that is in this room and really in this city, more so than I think we've ever been able to hear genuinely and comprehend. And that is a beautiful thing because I know that faith has guided so many of us in this room, and most importantly, these young women and parents, athletes, coaches, those who have chosen to speak up. And the faith aspect of this is something I think that we need to remember, especially as we go forward. For 30 years, I got to live my dream and work in the sports world, the dream that I set out to be a sportscaster when I was 11 years old, and did it for 30 years. And I'm so grateful and so blessed for every moment, even the tougher moments along the way. And I got to cover everything beyond what I expected. Certainly hosting SportsCenter, but NBA Finals and the Masters and the World Series and the Final Four and all of the things that I never dreamt possible for me. And you know, along the way, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm nervous, and there's 30 million people watching this. Please don't screw up or you will be living in your parents' basement again. And like so many awesome moments with so many people watching. And today, when I walked up to the steps of the Supreme Court, I asked my husband, I got like choked up, and I had to pretend like I was a professional because I thought of all of the things I've gotten to do, of all the incredible stories I've gotten to tell and cool people to interview, nothing was more important than today. And it's been so humbling and such an honor to get to know these young women, and the choices they have made humbled me and inspired me to stop being afraid to speak up as well. So today, certainly what happened inside the court tonight, or today, what we're talking about tonight, and going forward, because there's still a long road ahead of us, right? Nothing, I would argue, that any of us have done is probably more important than this because it is so much bigger than this. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of it. And on that note, I'm really excited about this panel. Some incredible women from, yes, a sports perspective. As an athlete, a couple of athletes on this panel, not me, they're in the back. Athletes, broadcasters, and mothers. So with that, a couple of introductions of these four amazing women. First and foremost, an Olympian. She's a swimmer who burst onto the scene at the 1976 Olympics in Montreal at age 13. She was at the top of her sport as a swimmer for 2 decades and has been to every Olympics after her athletic career as a broadcaster, every Olympics since that one in 1976. She's also an author. She's a coach, a motivational speaker, a host MC in the UK, and most importantly, a mother of 3 girls and the hottest grandmother I have ever seen, for sure. Sharon Davies, come on out. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm not lying, right? Our next panelist is a member of Female Athletes United, an ADF client, and most importantly, a mother of 3. Adalia is her oldest, and she is a special young woman. Adalia's story, though, is brutal. She made the decision to quit the track team at her school in West Virginia after a trans athlete, a male, made inappropriate comments, very inappropriate comments, while in the girls' locker room. They sued and are now involved in one case that was discussed today at the U.S. Supreme Court. Please help me welcome Adalia's mom, Abby Cross. Wherever, girlfriend, wherever you want. Our next panelist is a young athlete who's been on the stage already once tonight. She is fighting the fight for herself and for others. She was forced to compete against the boys in track and field at Danbury High School in Connecticut, just down the road from ESPN. And she said something that I'll never forget, as many athletes have. Mentally and physically, we know the outcome before the race even starts. And that just broke my heart. But she is here, she is fighting back, and we are here for it. Alana Smith. And finally, as my pages stick together, a woman, oh my gosh, she has always been a fighter. She won't tell you that, but I will. I know the truth. And a role model for millions of girls and women as a fixture in sports broadcasting, in particular mainly at ESPN, for 2 decades. She hosted pretty much everything under the sun while at ESPN, most notably College Game Day, and most recently, before her departure a year ago, Sunday NFL Countdown. The first woman to have a role like that, certainly at the worldwide leader in sports. She broke barriers along the way, and when she began speaking up about protecting women's sports, plain and simple, she was fired. This woman's story is incredible as a broadcaster, as a fighter, and also as a mother of 3 awesome kids who are here tonight. Help me welcome Samantha Ponder. Hi, how are we, Alana?
I'm good, how are you?
She threatened me. She's like, don't make me go certain places. Only certain questions I'm allowed to ask her. But I did warn all of you about this one. Because although most of us know a little bit of your stories, people need to, I think, know more. And maybe most importantly, hear it from you. Hear it from your mouths. So I'm going to start with the other TV chick on the other end, Samantha. And I just want all of you, and if you could start and go on down the line. Why are you here tonight?
Well, I'm looking right at her. For one, this woman that's leading us tonight has led me in my career and in courage. I'm mostly here because I chickened out from doing the right thing in this area for so long. It took you going first, and now you make me cry. It took you going first when I was scared and self-censoring and not doing what I know in my heart the Lord was telling me to do and just disobeying over and over and over again. And you went first and led the way and gave me the courage to do it. And then we both got the same email from the same boss telling us this isn't looking good for you two, basically, if you don't shut up. And kept talking, mostly because I knew I had someone doing it with me. Courage is so contagious. And thank you for that. That's the first part.
Yeah, that's not an answer.
No, okay. Well, there's a second part because she's sitting right over here. My daughter Scout, who's in 6th grade and a little basketball player. We're living in New York City and dealing with this issue at every single game she plays in, and trying to help an 11-year-old girl understand why she's not doing such a good job posting up the girl on the other side of the court. Was tricky at first, and then I realized, you know what, she's ready to understand what's going on here. I'm going to teach her how to speak truth in love with humility, but to not back down and to be courageous, and she's already doing that at 11, so I'm here for her too.
Because I, as you mentioned in the beginning, I've been competing for a very long time. So I did my first Olympic Games when I was 13 years old in 1976, so that's quite a while ago. And I've been to every Olympic Games since, that's 13 Olympics. And I competed during the East German era, where we had young girls from East Germany who were pumped full of testosterone, and they dominated women's sport. And this was allowed to go on for 20 years. And I had friends that were fourth behind 3 East Germans, you know, who no one ever remembers, who would have been Olympic champions. And when I could see this was happening in 2015 all over again, I just thought, I cannot watch this happen to another generation of young women and not speak out. So for me, that's when that journey started. I spoke out then. And then a couple of years later, I got 60 of my friends who were all Olympians and world champions, British Olympians and world champions, men and women, to sign a letter to the IOC saying, you must do the science first. You cannot throw women's sport away, you know, against all the peer-reviewed science, against all the results ever. Only 3 of those 60 have ever broke cover, still, even now, even today. And they took absolutely no notice of it whatsoever. So I think the reason I'm here is because I wanted to come and show you that in the UK, we're watching what you do. We're really proud of everything you're doing over there. We're all fighting. We're fighting this across the whole world. And you know, today you are leading the world. What you were doing today was leading the world. And we have our times. We have our lovely J.K. Rowling that keeps fighting for us. And we are united in just trying to get back for women what they should never have had taken away from them.
Real quick, Alana, before you start, I thank you for that reminder. It is global. It does go well beyond our borders. And on that note, I mean, you're taking this to another level with some news that you shared with me earlier. I think people need to know.
Yeah, I kind of slightly mentioned it today, but I was shouting on my microphone. So sorry about that. I'm not used to shouting. I like to do nice, rational, statistical, conversation. Stay nice and calm whilst the other side are getting all flustered. I just keep throwing out statistics at them. But yes, during the summer, the opposition leader, Kemi Badenoch, asked me if I would go into the House of Lords. And the House of Lords is the second chamber in the UK, so that means that I become a baroness. So all my children keep bowing at me at the breakfast, which is quite interesting. And when we get to choose our name, so the kids decided it was Baroness Dogsbottom, which won't go down in the House of Lords very well. Actually isn't the one that I've chosen, but that is the job that I have to go back to, which is why I'm rushing back tomorrow. So we came over yesterday, and we're going home tomorrow.
So you're lawmakers.
Yeah,
you are
lawmakers, that's what we do. So the House of Commons will create the bills, and then the House of Lords put the bills back together again, because the bills that come from the House of Commons are rubbish, and we do a much better job, and that's really what we do.
Thank you. The fight continues.
I'm here because my freshman year of high school, I was forced to compete against 2 biological males and just experience it firsthand. And it was just so frustrating knowing that the race was over before it even began. And seeing what Selena Sol was doing and how she was standing up all alone, I knew that I kind of had to put my fears to the side about being in the public spotlight. To just help her and just trying to see if more female athletes would stand up if they saw that I was doing it, and just knowing that we need to stand up for what's right and to keep women's sports, because I know I love to play sports, and I know a lot of other girls do too.
How old were you when you had to make that decision?
I was 15 years old, and now I'm 22, so it's been a long time.
I know I'm not alone with this thought that when you think back to when you're, forget 15, 22, there's no way I would have had the courage to make the decisions that you continue to make. So thank you.
Thank you.
And Miss Abby?
I want to start off by saying you all will have to forgive me. Today is such an emotional day for our family. We are from West Virginia, and when you see West Virginia versus BPJ, BPJ is the male athlete that my daughter, Adalea, has competed against since she was 14. So it's just quite a monumental and emotional day for us. But having said that, we are here because for the past 3 years, I have watched my daughter and countless other girls have their opportunities and dignity stolen from them, and no one would speak up. So we have been trying our best to do that for the past 3 years, and we're going to continue to try to tell the truth about what's going on.
From here, I'd love it if any of you jumped in. And Abby, I am going to start with you because I know what my turning point was when it was like, okay, enough is enough. And that was just selfishly for me, not as a mother of a young girl who was saying treated unfairly is the understatement of the century. But what was that line that was crossed for you? What was your turning point?
Yeah, so Adalea made her school track team in 7th grade. That same year, this male student also made the track team, the girls' track team, as a 6th grader. We kind of tried to keep our heads low that first year. We had a lot of concern, but we didn't see a lot of people talking. A lot of issues, but really her 8th grade year is when things started to drastically go downhill. She was coming home from practice every day, increasingly frustrated, telling us about mean, taunting things he was saying to her and the other girls, becoming discouraged because he was suddenly throwing 25 feet farther than he had been, which was not an increase that the other girls were making. But our major turning point was one day she came home and told us that he was telling her and other girls on the team to suck my D. And I want to note for the audience that I'm going to bleep out the words for you all, but they weren't bleeped out for Adalea and the other girls.
When she told you that, what did you say to her?
I was just completely horrified. I told her the thought of a male child that's saying he desperately wants to be a girl. He has to be on the girls' team. These girls are forced to be uncomfortable because he so much wants to be a girl. Has access to them in the locker rooms, is then talking to them about sexual acts to his male genitalia, was just completely wrong on every level. So I told her that, and then we also reported it to a coach.
And what was done?
When I spoke with the coach, she told us that she had also heard him say multiple inappropriate things. It was that same day that we also found out Adalea was losing her competition spot to him. But when I reported the comments, she then went on to tell me a lot of other inappropriate behaviors. One of which included him asking girls on another track team for nude photographs during a meet, but she felt that what was happening to Adelia was unfair, that this was a severe issue, but she felt like she couldn't do anything because she would get fired if she spoke up. So I was just extremely alarmed after hearing that, and went and told, or I spoke with Adelia after this conversation and told her that I was worried about the safety of her and the other girls on the team at this point. It seemed much more dire than I realized. And that's when she said to me, "Mom, that's not the worst thing he's ever said to me," and asked if she could text it to me because we were in the car with her little sister. And that's when I read that he was saying, coming up behind her, whispering in her ear in the locker room during practice, that he was going to stick his D in her P word. And so just reading that my daughter had silently been carrying around threats of rape was just sickening and heartbreaking.
I think this is the part that the other side chooses not to think about. It is bad enough that spots are being taken and medals are being taken, etc. And unfortunately, this happens more than, again, anyone is willing to report. So I so appreciate you tonight, once again, sharing that. These are the things that we can never forget, because as we know, like we said earlier, the journey, really, might never fully end. We're going to have to continue to stand up, but by you speaking it, you're making sure that everyone knows the seriousness of it. And my final question on this topic for you is, how many mamas out here? Mama bears? How did you hold yourself back? How did you try to continue to parent her, to lead, but then protect and probably control yourself?
I would say that, is this on? Can you hear me? Okay. The one guiding factor that has kept us going through this, given us the courage to speak up, is our relationship with Jesus. I've realized that over the past 3 years, so many people adamantly agree with us, but they've told us, I agree, but I'm too afraid to say anything. And I get it, because I have felt very afraid multiple times. But my relationship with God has given me something stronger than fear to answer to. And that's just what we've had to revisit over and over again to do the right thing and make the right choices, hopefully.
I'm Adelia is a lucky little girl to have you as her mama leading the way. And that word fear, my goodness, it is so real in so many different ways. I remember, some of the people even in our industry, Sam, people that we worked with would pull us aside or text us and, I agree with you. I'm like, well, then please, for the sake of you and everyone else, just say something. And these are big, grown men with $100 million in their pocket, former athletes, etc. And so I try not to be critical, but fear is real. It might not be an excuse, but it is a reason for sure. Can you three talk to me about the fear that maybe you felt in different ways?
I think it's the misogyny, which is just extraordinary, and it's the lack of courage from people that have been running sport. We found in the UK that we have boards, and I'm sure that it's similar here, and we've placed a DEI officer who often is 22 years of age with purple hair and a very, very strong agenda. And everybody on that board is petrified of them. People that have been involved in sport for 30 and 40 years are kowtowing to somebody who has a very strong LGBT agenda, and they're not doing their jobs. And in the UK, they're not even applying the law. We had a Supreme Court hearing in April where it was made extremely clear that in our Equality Act, sex means biological sex. We still cannot get our government to apply the law. So women are having to crowdfund in the UK to be able to go to all these different situations to be able to get the law applied. because they're still being cowards. I just find it extraordinary. I mean, when I started speaking out, gradually, over 2 or 3 years, the work just started to disappear. And by 2020, I was getting no work. I literally went from having a very, very good career to having no money whatsoever. And that has gone on until very recently, where it's just now starting to change. And the BBC employ me, as I mentioned, to be on the side of the pool, and they literally couldn't sack me because it would have created so much problem for them. But what they did was just reduce my job. So, I do interviews on the side of the pool, which is the best job ever when the swimmers get out. And one of my favourite moments was speaking to Michael Phelps when he won his 18th gold medal in London in 2012. And I got to be the first person to stick a microphone in front of him, which was just fantastic. So, I love my job. But when they used to come to me for lots and lots of comments, all of that stopped. So they had their ways of being able to penalise me without actually taking the wrath of the British public, on their back. So it's this cruelty for people that are just trying to say, look, let's look at the facts, the statistics, the results of every Olympic Games and every World Championships ever, and let's just deal with facts, because we can't base laws on feelings. It's impossible. How do we judge feelings? It's silly. It's crazy.
That rings a bell to you, I think, Sam, with losing opportunities.
I think the fear thing changed for me when I realized all my bosses, like the fancy guys in the nice offices, they were scared to death. Because you and I both know, and I think most people realize this, that even the guys making these decisions technically, they don't agree with that stuff. You have conversations one-on-one, especially working for a sports network. These guys are mostly former athletes. They know these are such obvious objective truths. But what I was told, and I know you experienced this too, was, well, there's a very large trans activist group within the company that owns this company. And even when we were sent the email telling us to stop talking about this issue, and I asked, well, what specifically did I say? Because he had said in the email that I was, ruining the journalistic credibility of the company by misgendering someone and not being fact-based. And I responded back saying, what exactly did I say that wasn't fact-based? And he wrote back immediately, I'm not really sure, I'll get back to you next week. And I was like, something a little strange there. Turns out I had liked a tweet of Megyn Kelly's saying that men don't need gynecologists, and that's just not allowed, you can't, because that's not fact-based. But the fear for me really went away once I realized they can't take away what gives me value. Once I recentered and realized, the God of the universe gives me value, I'm made in his image, he has a purpose for my life. They can take away my job, they can mess up my reputation, whatever, but they can't take away what makes me me. Then it gave me the boldness to say, whatever happens, happens. But I'm going to say what's true because it's what I wish my daughter would do someday.
Every time I'm around her, she makes me cry. It's really annoying. Alana, I want to ask you about fear as well, because you've experienced things that most of us in this room have not, and certainly never will. But at 15, when you look at boys on the starting line of those races with you, was there fear? What was going through your mind?
I would say I was more just frustrated, just thinking about the hours that I put in 6 days a week, knowing that it didn't matter. It's like, I have a twin brother and he doesn't run track, but if he went out and got on the line with me and we raced, he could beat me. And I think that says a lot, knowing that I train 6 days a week and he doesn't. So.
Is he here?
No.
Let's bring him up. What did you experience when you began to speak up and when this started to, make some headlines?
I would say that I experienced more support than I did backlash. The backlash that I received was mostly on social media from people behind a screen. So it didn't really affect me that much. And just knowing that I had my family, my friends, and even a whole community of people that I didn't even know supporting me, it helped a lot. And then also having someone like Selena to look up to and like seeing how much effort and time she has put into this fight, it definitely helped.
We've heard it today several times, courage begets courage, right? And when you see other people going ahead of you, which is what Selena was for you, I mean, that does make us feel a little better, right? That's why I always say, whatever the topic, and we all have vulnerabilities and fears, but the more we share them, the more it's a little therapeutic, right? When you're like, okay, but then others realize they're not alone. And then they'll share more, and then the conversations happen, and even though it takes too long, you end up at the U.S. Supreme Court with thousands of people out there rallying for you and the things that you chose to do. What was that decision like, though, when you knew that this wasn't just going to go away if you chose to continue to use your voice and stand up for yourself and others? Was it an easy decision for you? Where you're like, okay, attorneys, let's go, let's fight?
I would say it was definitely difficult at first because, like I said, I don't like being in the spotlight.
Kind of like now.
Yeah.
You're doing great.
Thank you. But I remember just thinking about the other girls because I was fortunate enough to have able to have advanced to the bigger meets, but there were girls that didn't. And just thinking about how much I love to play sports, and I come from a family that loves sports. And so just thinking about how I want girls in the future to be able to compete on a level playing field.
Your peace and calm is a beautiful thing. That's why you're such a good athlete, and I was not, right? I wanted to ask you about this because I think a lot of us were doing a lot today at the rally, and you're in and out, and you didn't get to hear every part of what was going on inside that courtroom. What I did learn, and Chris and I were talking about it in the back just now, is that throughout all of those hours, there was never a mention of any of the women who are parts of this case, who are parts of these lawsuits that are being argued, were argued today. Not a single mention of a single name of any young women. The focus was on the men and how this affected, I don't say trans women, trans girls, I say boys and men. And the focus was on them. That was disturbing to me. I don't know if that's disturbing to anyone else. But what are we here for? We're here for the girls. We're here for the women. We're here for you. What would you say to people out there who I think are continuing to focus on the wrong thing? This must be about girls and women, right? What would you say?
I mean, I just think it's crazy. Like you said, we're here for women to protect women's sports. And like I said, just being someone that experienced it firsthand, it's just so demoralizing and so frustrating. And we should be the focus.
Can we give our round of applause for them?
Thank you.
We need to wrap up here in a couple of minutes, and you know, Sam knows I could go all day, so you're welcome. There's a clock right there. I'd like to know any parting thoughts from each of you, anything that you think is necessary for people in this audience, and I don't know if it's being streamed or replayed later, to know about your experiences, what you would do differently, do more of, do less of, as all of us try to go forward and using the right language and certainly the right tone, which there was a noticeable difference out there today. That was a beautiful thing to see. What do you think people need to know about each of your experiences as we go forward and continue to focus on the prize, which is protecting all women, all girls, in sports and all spaces? Whoever wants to start. I pick you.
I knew you were going to do that. I think it's coming together, it's teamwork, and it's just one of the biggest reasons why myself and Tracy, with the Women's Sports Union, which we created last year in the UK, it's one of the reasons why we wanted to come. We wanted to show that there is unity, that we all do have each other's back. You know, you and I haven't actually ever met before, yet I feel like I know you because we've spoken so many times on X. We support each other, we retweet things, we try to give each other encouragement. You know, we occasionally will send a DM to say, look, just stay strong. And it's that which makes such a big difference. It's one of the things we tried to do in England. We tried to get the girls to come together, because when they came together, they were very strong. It was this divide and conquer thing, which was very difficult for us. And of course, we have Stonewall, which is, very much the same as what today. But Stonewall is in financial crisis in the UK. Things are changing. Things are turning. The general public is beginning to see. And I think events even like today, where we stay calm, we present the truth, we try to be dignified and we try to be kind and fair. That's not what the other side is doing in lots of instances. And the more we can show that to the general public, the more they will realize that, that what we're saying is right. So sometimes allowing them to speak does us a big favor.
I see you looking at me. I think for me, it was so interesting today when we were together watching. My daughter decided, she asked, because she's got a little spunk in her, she asked if she could go over to the other side and listen for a while. And when she came back, I just asked her, what'd you see? What'd you think? And she just kept referencing, such anger and chaos and crazy. The kids know. Right? They can see, we live in the middle of Manhattan. She sees it every day. There's such confusion that if people like us don't speak up for just objective truth. I was a product of the only truth is subjective truth generation in the 90s where, how do you feel? Your truth, his truth, everybody's truth. And this is where it got us. Such fundamental words we can't even define. Listening to the Supreme Court today struggle over the word woman once again, it actually makes me feel pretty good, because I'm like, wow, if they can't even define that, I must be smart enough, because this is such a simple thing that we've known for so long. So I think speaking with clarity and, like you said, humility, not yelling and screaming. That was the difference she noticed as a kid, is there was one side that was just speaking, telling their stories, and there was another side that seemed in chaos, screaming. We should have compassion for these people, speak with love and humility, follow the way of Jesus, and start with compassion and love, but still speak the truth. And I hope I can do more of that by being encouraged by all of you today.
What was the question again?
What was the question? Going forward, if there's anything more that you feel like we need to know that you have experienced, maybe hope to experience, because our job is to support you and to not allow other girls to go through what you did.
I would say I just hope to be able to do more stuff like this and to speak out more, because I think that it would help. And like you said, sometimes you just need to have somebody to look up to know that it's okay if you're scared, but you should still do it if you believe that's what's right. So I just hope that I can continue to fight for this subject, and hopefully a change will be made soon.
I'm going to put you on the spot with one more thing, because I got to sit next to you and your mom, your beautiful mom, from 15 to 22. That's a lot of life has happened in there, and yours has been at another level. What have you learned about yourself during that time?
I would say that I learned that I can do difficult things even if I'm scared. This really helped me with public speaking and just being able to stand up for what's right.
We are so lucky to have you, and that you have chosen to not be silent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Am I on? Okay. I guess lastly, I would just, kind of like to echo their sentiments. I know we're in a room of like-minded people, a lot of bold people. Let's just continue to speak the truth, not let the fear or lies win out. Our girls are worth it, and their spaces and sports are worth it. So let's just keep fighting for that.
And to keep praying for the mamas like you. And I need to say this. We had 4 incredible men on this stage about 30 minutes ago. So many great men are part of this fight. Men who don't have daughters who are competing. So we talk about the strength of the women. Absolutely. Thank you to all you gentlemen in the room who are actually being real men. Thank you for your courage. What a concept. I'll wrap this up quickly because of what you said. It reminded me towards the end of my tenure, right before I filed a lawsuit against Disney, that it's always recommended to sue the company you're still working for. It's fine. The night before it all happened, I was sharing with each one of my 3 kids. One was in college, 2 were in high school. Just listen, this is what's coming. And I'm sorry, because you're going to feel it, and you're going to get more online hate. This is what happens usually when mom speaks up, whether it's parents, coaches, teachers. People came at my kids because they don't have the courage to come to me, usually, right? And I just apologized to my son and said, listen, you don't have to defend me, but just remember to tell these people that everyone has a right to their opinion, which happened to be fact with this, and freedom of speech. And my son, who I always say is in the middle of these 2 psycho daughters of mine, he's such a saint, and he's so calm and peaceful. And he actually put down what he was doing, and he looked me in the eye, and he said, Mom, it's about time you stood up. And I was so grateful for that moment. And I was also so mad at myself. Because while I was staying silent to protect them, so they didn't have to go through all that. And I'm preaching to them to stand up and be tall and be strong and do what's right for others. And what was I practicing? The opposite of what I was preaching. So we must remember that the kids, they're always watching what we do. And we now know we cannot afford the silence. You all have led the way. And everyone in this room, just for being here. It has taken courage, unfortunately, for many people just to be in this room. So I want to thank you 4 beautiful women for your courage, for speaking up, and I know you'll continue to do so. We're all in this thing together. And most importantly, tonight, ADF, incredible what you have chosen to do to support these women. And as you said, this is global. Thank you all. God bless. Thank you.